YouTube started. Woohoo. You shall now be Zeldaing, will you? Okay. Ah, dear, I am really sorry for the delay. Cool. Right. So, welcome to the final episode of Druttercup Book Club for the Phoenix and the Carpet. Please note, not the final episode of Druttercup Book Club. I'm going to keep this beast going as long as I physically can. People seem to enjoy it. I can cope with being your wallpaper, guys. Fine. So, end of last chapter. The Phoenix, in its dotage, being a full month and a bit old, but basically having been aged. I'm sounding quiet. Oh, yikes. Okay, hang on. I think I know what the book. Right. Yeah, I think I know what's wrong. Okay, let's see if that makes a difference. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. How do I sound, guys? That was loud and clear for you. Okay. Right, okay. It may just be Fish that X4's background music is drowning me out. I usually have to turn it down when I'm watching you. What that seems to have been, though, was the AMD noise suppression. Trust me, any louder I clip. Right, so leave us do this. And indeed, yes, Kate B, you are welcome. I apologise for the delay. I basically had my internet crap out on me, which is not on my fun list of things to make and do. So, Druttercup Book Club, the last chapter of The Phoenix and the Carpet. Yeah, so do I. It's back up. I don't know what went down. I don't know if what I did fixed it or whether it was something at their end or something other utterly incidental. I know there was a car crash in the road at the end of mine, so for all I know, they hit the box or something. Chapter 12. The End of the End. Bear in mind, this is after the elderly Phoenix burnt down and then restored Garrick Theatre, and may or may not have upset Mother, because Mother saw a talking cockatoo, and Father maintains that somebody was standing there with a talking pigeon, or at least was standing there talking, and they were holding a pigeon in the way because he kept hearing people's voices coming from the bird, and it couldn't possibly be that. Whereas Mother has decided that the bird was talking and has now taken herself to bed. Phoenix mothering time. Your internet went down earlier. Yeah, it's a thing. Could just be the weather. I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but it's wicked hot here. So, chapter 12, The End of the End. Egg, toast, tea, milk, teacup and saucer, egg spoon, knife, butter. That's all, I think, remarked Anthea, as she put the last touches to Mother's breakfast tray and went very, very carefully up the stairs, feeling for every step with her toes and holding onto the tray with all of her fingers. You ventriloquist act, use a bird instead of a doll. She crept into Mother's room and set the tray on a chair. Then she pulled one of the blinds up very softly. "Is your headache better, Mummy dear?" she asked in the soft little voice she kept expressly for Mother's headaches. "I brought your brekkie, and I put the little cloth with clover leaves on it, the one I made you." "That's very nice," said Mother sleepily. Anthea knew exactly what to do for mothers with headaches who had breakfast in bed. She fetched warm water and put just enough eau de cologne in it, and bathed Mother's face and hands with that sweet-scented water. Then Mother was able to think about breakfast. "But what's the matter with my girl?" she asked, when her eyes had got used to the light. "Oh, I'm ever so sorry you're ill," Anthea said. "It's that horrible fire and you being so frightened. Father said so, and we all feel as if it was our faults. I can't explain, but—" "Oh, it wasn't your fault a bit, you darling goosey," Mother said. "How could it be?" "Oh, would you like a list?" "That's just what I can't tell you," said Anthea. "I haven't got a futile brain like you and Father to think of ways of explaining everything." Mother laughed. "My futile brain, or did you mean fertile? Anyway, it feels very stiff and sore this morning, but I shall be quite all right by and by. And don't be a silly little pet, girl. The fire wasn't your faults. For once. No, I don't want that egg, dear. I'll go to sleep again, I think. Don't you worry. And tell cook not to bother me about meals. You can order what you like for lunch." Anthea closed the door very mousily, and instantly went downstairs and ordered what she'd like for lunch. She ordered a pair of turkeys, a large plum pudding, cheesecake, almonds, and raisins. Cook told her to "go along do," and she might as well not have ordered anything, for when lunch came it was just hashed mutton and semolina pudding, and Cook had forgotten the sippets for the mutton hash, and the semolina pudding was burned. When Anthea rejoined the others, she found them all plunged in the gloom where she was herself. For everyone knew that the days of the carpet were now numbered. Yes, because you set fire to it. Indeed, so worn was it that you could almost have numbered its threads. Hash, that's a good word for what they'd order. You wonder if Mother gets migraines a lot. You mean with kids like that, you get migraines more often too? Yeah, I think we can safely say Mother suffers from stress. So that now, after nearly a month of magic happenings, the time was at hand when life would have to go on in the dull, ordinary way, and Jane, Robert, Anthea, and Cyril would just be in the same position as the other children who lived in Camden Town. The children whom these four had so often pitied and perhaps a little despised. Brownies, cook, please cook. Magic, yes. Yeah. We shall be just like them, Cyril said. Except, said Robert, we shall have more things to remember and be sorry we haven't got. Mother's going to send away the carpet as soon as she's well enough to see about that coconut matting. Fancy us with coconut matting, us! And we've walked under live coconut trees on the island where you can't have whooping cough. Pretty island, said the lamb. Paint box sands and sea all shiny sparkly. His brothers and sisters had often wondered whether he remembered that island. Now they knew that he did. The other Camden Town kids probably don't set their houses on fire. I know, it's such a low bar, isn't it? So demanding. Yes, said Cyril, no more cheap return trips by carpet for us. There's a dead cert. They were all talking about the carpet, but what they were all thinking about was the phoenix. The golden bird had been so kind, so friendly, so polite, and so instructive, and now it had set fire to a theatre and made Mother ill. Nobody blamed the bird. It had acted in a perfectly natural manner, but everyone saw that it must not be asked to prolong its visit. Indeed, in plain English, it must be asked to go. The four children felt like base spies and treacherous friends. Funny that. And each in its mind was saying who ought not to be the one to tell the phoenix that they could no longer be a place for it in that happy home in Camden Town. That home is not happy. I'm very sorry. That home has servants who hate the kids who hate reality, and who keep trying to burn it down, a completely disinterested father, and a mother who's focused primarily on the baby because she's knackered. Sorry. Rant over. The four children. Each child was quite sure that one of them ought to speak out in a fair and manly way, but nobody wanted to be the one. They could not talk the whole thing over as they would have liked to, because the phoenix itself was in the cupboard, among the black beetles and the odd shoes and the broken chessmen. But Anthea tried. It's very horrid. I do hate thinking things about people and not being able to say the things you're thinking, because of the way they would feel when they thought what things you were thinking and wondered what they'd done to make you think things like that and why you were thinking them. Anthea was so anxious that the phoenix should not understand what she said when she made a speech completely baffling to all. It was not till she pointed to the cupboard in which they all believed the phoenix to be that Cyril understood. Yes, he said, while Jane and Robert were trying to tell each other how deeply they didn't understand what Anthea was saying. Anthea, diagram that sentence, please. I was just thinking, yeah, please pass that one out according to English language rules. But after recent eventfulness, a new leaf has to be turned over, and after all, Mother's more important than the feelings of any of the lower forms of creation, however unnatural. I hate to have to say it, but Cyril, the phoenix is not a lower form of creation to you. Trust me. How beautifully you do it, said Anthea, absently beginning to build a card house for the lamb. Mixing up what you were saying, I mean. We ought to practice doing it so as to be ready for mysterious occasions. We were talking about that, she said to Jane and Robert, frowning and nodding toward the cupboard where the phoenix was. Then Robert and Jane understood, and each opened its mouth to speak. Wait a minute, said Anthea quite quickly. The game is to twist up what you want to say so that no one can understand what you're saying except the people you want to understand it, and sometimes not them. Hydrating actually would be a real good idea right now. Horrible hot. The ancient philosophers, said a golden voice, well understood the art of which you speak. Pretty Dicky, remarked the lamb. Canary Dicky. Poor misguided infant, said the phoenix. There was a painful pause. The four could not but think it likely that the phoenix had understood their very veiled allusions, accompanied as they had been by gestures indicating the cupboard, for the phoenix was not wanting in intelligence. We were just saying, Cyril began, and I hope he was not going to say anything but the truth. Whatever it was, he did not say it, for the phoenix interrupted him, and all breathed more freely as it spoke. I gather, it said, that you have some tidings of a fatal nature to communicate to our degraded black brothers who run to and fro forever yonder. There's a phrase. It pointed a claw at the cupboard where the black beetles lived. Canary, talk, said the lamb joyously. Go and show Mummy. He wriggled off Anthea's lap. Mummy's asleep, said Jane hastily. Come and be wild beasts in a cage under the table. But the lamb caught his feet and hands and even his head so often and so deeply in the holes of the carpet that the cage or table had to be moved onto the linoleum, and the carpet laid bare to sight with all its horrid holes. Ah, said the bird, it isn't long for this world. I sincerely hope he's talking about the carpet, not the lamb. No, said Robert, everything comes to an end. It's awful. Sometimes the end is peace, remarked the phoenix. I imagine that unless it comes soon, the end of your carpet will be pieces. Yes, said Cyril, respectfully kicking what was left of the carpet. The movement of its bright colours caught the eye of the lamb, who went down on all fours instantly and began to pull at the red and blue threads. Agdy, agdy, daggedy, gaggedy, murmured the lamb. Gaggedy, ag, ag, ag. And before anyone could have winked, even if they'd wanted to, and it would not have been of the slightest use, the middle of the floor showed bare, an island of boards surrounded by a sea of linoleum. The magic carpet was gone, and so was the lamb. There was a horrible silence. The lamb, the baby, all alone, had been wafted away on that untrustworthy carpet so full of holes and magic, and no one could know where he was, and no one could follow him because there was now no carpet to follow on. Jane burst into tears, but Anthea, though pale and frantic, was dry-eyed. It must be a dream, she said. That's what that clergyman said, remarked Robert forlornly, but it wasn't, and it isn't. But the lamb never wished, said Cyril. He was only talking bosh. The carpet understands all speech, said the phoenix, even bosh. I know not this bosh land, but be assured that its tongue is not unknown to the carpet. Oh, you are very welcome, Villakatzen. We are winding up some high-end child neglect going on here. They are discussing how to get rid of the phoenix, or how to tell the phoenix that perhaps its train must be going soon, and gosh, isn't it getting late? And in the meantime, the lamb playing in the nursery with them because mother has a migraine has just burbled something while sitting on the carpet and vanished. What do you mean, then? Said Anthea in white terror. That what he was saying, agony dag, or whatever it was, he meant something by it. Well, is that the time? Oh my. Also accompanied with the slap the knees and a well. Is that about right, Fish? All speech has meaning, said the phoenix. Then I think you're wrong, said Cyril. Even people who talk English sometimes say things that don't mean anything in particular. The Reform voters. Oh, never mind that now, moaned Anthea. You think Agady Dag meant something to him and the carpet? Beyond doubt, it held the same meaning to the carpet as to the luckless infant, the phoenix said calmly. The lamb said he wanted to show the bird to Mama, so perhaps he's just in her room. The phoenix has never listened to a Trump speech, clearly. Yeah. And what did it mean? Oh, what? Unfortunately, the bird rejoined, I never studied Bosch. That's Bosch as in nonsense, not Bosch as in slang term for Germans. We are pre-World Wars. Jane sobbed noisily, which has been her function through most of the book. But the others were calm with what is sometimes called the calmness of despair. The lamb was gone. The lamb, their own precious baby brother, who had never in his happy little life been for a moment out of the sight of eyes that loved him, he was gone. He had gone alone into the great world with no other companion and protector than the carpet with holes in it. The children had never really understood before what an enormously big place the world is, and the lamb might be anywhere in it. Doesn't speak power drill, yeah. It's Bosch, yes, it is indeed Bosch, as in Bosh. It's no use going to look for him. Cyril, in flat and wretched tones, only said what the others were thinking. You wish him to return? The Phoenix asked. He seemed to speak with some surprise. Yeah. Finally getting a taste of their own medicine. Yes. Of course we do, cried everybody. Isn't he more trouble than he's worth? Asked the bird doubtfully. No, we do want him back, we do. Then, said the wearer of gold plumage, if you'll excuse me, I'll just pop out and see what I can do. Yes, theirs don't seem to have much of it. Mother has been down with a migraine since the fire. Father just seems to have gone, they're back, okay. Cyril flung open the window and the Phoenix popped out. Oh, if only Mother goes on sleeping. Oh, suppose she wakes and wants the lamb. Or suppose the servants come. Stop crying, Jane, it's no earthly good. No, I'm not crying myself, at least I wasn't till you said so, and I shouldn't anyway, if there was any mortal thing we could do. Oh! Cyril and Robert were boys, and boys never cry, of course. I'm not sure I layered the sarcasm in thickly enough. All babies are trouble, but you love them, so you do it anyway. Babies are indeed trouble. This is why I'm an aunt, not a mother. I was very fond of being able to get the kids all riled up and excitable after playing with them, and then hand them back to their parents. That was largely my default mode. Cyril and Robert were boys, and boys never cry, of course. Still, the position was a terrible one, and I do not wonder that they made faces in their effort to behave in a really manly way. And at this awful moment, Mother's bell rang. A breathless stillness held the children. Then Anthea dried her eyes. She looked around her and caught up the poker. She held it out to Cyril. This is why you're a cat mother, and there are days you wonder why you decided that was a good idea. Yeah, that's fair. Hit my hand hard, she said. I must show Mother some reason for my eyes being like they are. Harder, she cried as Cyril gently tapped her with the iron handle. And Cyril, agitated and trembling, nerved himself to hit harder, and hit very much harder than he intended. Anthea screamed. Oh, Panther, I didn't mean to hurt, really, cried Cyril, clattering the poker back into the fender. It's all right, said Anthea breathlessly, clasping the hurt hand with the one that wasn't hurt. It's getting red. It was. A round red and blue bump was rising on the back of it. Frisco, you can't just say you were helping cook with onions. Anybody else? That would have been your first option, wouldn't it? Or, you not even helping cook. You were playing kitchens. Onions have got to be one of the least offensive things that they've ever dealt with. But no, they go straight to her thought processes go straight to, please break my hand so that Mother won't ask why I'm crying. But will presumably ask why your brother broke your hand. Not a particularly common thing. Buttons of a certain class near a BDSM is the top of the options list. Thanks, fish. There's an image. But they're not particularly upper class. I don't think they're posh enough for that. It was. A round red and blue bump was rising on the back of it. Now, Robert, she said, trying to breathe more evenly. You go out, oh, I don't know where, onto the dustbin, anywhere, and I shall tell Mother you and the lamb are out. Anthea was now ready to deceive her mother for as long as ever she could. Deceit is very wrong, we know, but it seemed to Anthea that it was her plain duty to keep her mother from being frightened about the lamb for as long as possible, and the phoenix might help. It always has helped, Robert said. It got us out of the tower, and even when it made the fire in the theatre it got us out all right. I'm certain it will manage somehow. Mother's bell rang again. Oh, Eliza's never answered it, cried Anthea. She never does. Oh, I must go. Welcome, Molly. So, just to sum up, while trying to decide how to get the phoenix to go away, the children have accidentally allowed their little brother to burble a command along the lines of da 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 while sitting on the carpet, which apparently understood it and has whisked him off somewhere. And now, to cover why Anthea has been crying about it, having realised that the carpet could literally have taken him anywhere, she hit upon a boneheaded idea of Cyril hitting her hand with a poker and thus explaining why her eyes were all red from weeping. And Cyril, after being encouraged to hit harder because he initially just went bap, by the sounds of it, it sounds like he's broken her hand. He's awfully sorry about it, but, you know, it's her idea. Eliza's never answered it, cried Anthea. She never does. Oh, I must go. Oh, and Mother is in bed with a migraine, and has been for at least a day. Yeah, the crimes just keep on criming in this chapter. And she went. Her heart beat bumpingly as she climbed the stairs. Mother would be certain to notice her eyes. Well, her hand would account for that, but the lamb... Can't just say I stubbed my toe. No, it has to be my hand is broken. Yeah, exactly. They're drama llamas. No, I must not think of the lamb, she said to herself, and bit her tongue till her eyes watered again, so as to give herself something else to think of. Girl, you've just had your hand smashed. You're now biting your tongue. There is, Anthea, there is definitely something wrong with. Her arms and legs and back, and even her tear-reddened face, felt stiff with her resolution not to let Mother be worried if she could help it. She opened the door softly. Yes, Mother? She said. Dearest, said Mother, the lamb. Anthea tried to be brave. She tried to say that the lamb and Robert were out. Perhaps she tried too hard. Anyway, when she opened her mouth, no words came, so she stood with it open. It seemed easier to keep from crying with one's mouth in that unusual position. The lamb, Mother went on. He was very good at first, but he's pulled the toilet cover off the dressing table with all the brushes and pots and things, and now he's gone so quiet I'm sure he's in some dreadful mischief. And I can't see him from here, and if I got out of bed to see him, I'm sure I should have fainted. So we are definitely on this woman is an experienced parent, because she knows that when children play quietly, that's the time you panic. I apologise for straw noises. I am so thirsty. It's so hot in here. Do you mean he's here? Said Anthea. You knew it. The lamb is in her room. Yep. Of course he's here, said Mother, a little impatiently. Where did you think he was? Anthea went to the foot of the big mahogany bed. There was a pause. Quiet mischief is dangerous mischief, indeedy. Quiet mischief was when we went upstairs and caught my little sister drinking the honey-flavoured cough syrup at age about 6. Because it tasted nice. Yeah, that was an interesting one. He's not here now, she said. That he had been there was plain, from the toilet cover on the floor, the scattered pots and bottles, the wandering brushes and combs, all involved in that tangle of ribbons and laces which an open drawer had yielded to the baby's inquisitive fingers. You popping lidocaine like candy. Oh no. This is why they invented childproof caps. Yep. Quiet mischief is when toddler you got into the kitchen cupboards and chewed through a box of instant pudding to eat the innards. I think quiet mischief is when I ran away when I was 2. Presumably I just wasn't making a noise. In my mum's defence, I was her first kid. It was a reason. Sorry. Yeah, no, I must have been 3. Yeah, I must have been 3 because I was a toddler. I was a toddler and I fled the house when the weather was much like it is today, actually. Far too hot. So I'd been put into a cold bath to cool me down as a toddler. And then mother had gone off to do something else briefly. And no, apparently I'd spotted the open front door at my grandmother's house where we lived at the time. And was off and away and down the hill. Middle of the road. Off the main shopping street in our town. Yeah. How I made it to be able to stream for you lot, I do not know. And just not smeared into a greasy stain somewhere on North Down Road. He must have crept out then, said mother. Do keep him with you, there's a darling. If I don't get some sleep, I shall be a wreck when father comes home. Anthea closed the door softly. Then she tore downstairs and burst into the nursery crying. He must have wished he was with mother. He's been there all the time. Agady dag. The unusual word was frozen on her lip, as people say in books. In your case, you were the first child, but both your parents got hardwired very fast to go to the singing stops. Oh no. Yep, that's how it works. They develop the whole stealthy listening. Your dad had to have an ice bath once, but that's because he was allergic to aspirin and it made his fever spike. That was before they invented baby acetaminophen. It still freaks me out slightly when I read the words acetaminophen and my brain instantly goes to something complicated. And then it's like, no, it's paracetamol. Baby cow, it's baby cowpole. There on the floor lay the carpet, and on the carpet, surrounded by his brothers and by Jane, sat the lamb. He had covered his face and clothes with Vaseline and violet powder, but he was easily recognisable in spite of this disguise. You are right, said the Phoenix, who was also present. It is evident that, as you say, Agady Dag is bosh, for I want to be where my mother is, and so the faithful carpet understood it. But how? Said Anthea, catching up the lamb and hugging him. How did he get back here? Oh, said the Phoenix, I flew to the Samiad and wished that your infant brother were restored to your midst, and immediately it was so. You think scientists just pull Scrabble tags out of a bag to make up drug names? I've had that suspicion. So the Phoenix, rather than heading up 2 flights of stairs to the bedroom, flew all the way to the Samiad and used a Samiad wish to locate the lamb. Okay? Oh, I am glad, cried Anthea, still hugging the baby. Oh, you darling. Oh, shut up, Jane. I don't care how much he comes off on me. Cyril, you and Robert roll that carpet up and put it in the beetle cupboard. You might say Agady Dag again, and it might mean something quite different next time. Now, my lamb, Panther will clean you up a little. Come on. I hope the beetles won't go wishing, said Cyril as they rolled up the carpet. I think the Phoenix is dating the Samiad. It's possible. 2 days later, Mother was well enough to go out. Bloody hell. Wow, Mother suffers from severe cluster migraines, in my estimation. 2 days later, Mother was well enough to go out, and that evening the coconut matting came home. The children had talked and talked and thought, but they'd not found any polite way of telling the Phoenix that they didn't want it to stay any longer. The days had been days spent by the children in embarrassment, and by the Phoenix in sleep. And now the matting was laid down. The Phoenix awoke and fluttered down onto it. It shook its crested head. "I like not this carpet," it said. "It's harsh and unyielding, and it hurts my golden feet." "We've jolly well got to get used to it hurting our golden feet," said Cyril. "This, then," said the bird, "supersedes the wishing carpet." "Yes," said Robert, "if you mean that's it instead of it." "And the magic web?" inquired the Phoenix with sudden eagerness. "The rag and bottle man's day tomorrow," said Anthea in a low voice. "He'll take it away." The Phoenix fluttered up to its favourite perch on the chair back. "Hear me," it cried, "O youthful children of men, and restrain your tears of misery and despair. For what must be, and I would not remember you thousands of years hence as base ingrates and crawling worms, compact of low selfishness." "I should hope not, indeed," said Cyril. "Weep not," the bird went on. "I really do beg that you won't weep. I will not seek to break the news to you gently. Let the blow fall at once. The time has come when I must leave you." All 4 children breathed forth a long sigh of relief. "We needn't have bothered so about how to break the news to it," whispered Cyril. "Ah, sigh not so," said the bird gently. "All meetings end in partings. I must leave you. I've sought to prepare you for this. Do not give way." "Must you really go so soon?" murmured Anthea. It was what she had often heard her mother say to the calling ladies in the afternoon. "I must really. Thank you so much, dear," replied the bird, just as though it had been one of the ladies. "I am weary," it went on. "I desire to rest. After all the happenings of this last moon, I do desire really to rest. And I ask of you one last boon." "Any little thing we can do," said Robert. Now that it came to really parting with the Phoenix, whose favourite he had always been, Robert did feel almost as miserable as the Phoenix thought they all did. "I ask but the relic designed for the rag destined I think that's supposed to be destined. I ask but the relic designed for the rag and bottle man. Give me what is left of the carpet and let me go." "Dare we?" said Anthea. "Would Mother mind?" "I have dared greatly for your sakes," remarked the bird. "Well then, we will," said Robert. The Phoenix fluffed out its feathers joyously. "Nor shall you regret it, children of golden hearts," it said. "Quick, spread the carpet and leave me alone, but first pile high the fire. Oh, no, I'm not sure where this is going. Then, while I am immersed in the sacred preliminary rites, do ye prepare sweet-smelling woods and spices for the last act of parting." "Uh-huh. Why did you burn down your house, children? The Phoenix told us to." "One of us must keep watch," said Robert excitedly as soon as they were all out of the room. "And the others can go and buy sweet woods and spices. Get the very best that money can buy, and plenty of them. Don't let stand to a threepence or so. I want it to have a jolly good send-off. It's the only thing that will make us feel less horrid inside." "Parson time. Let's not burn the rest of the carpet, okay? Yep." I like that he does specify in the fireplace. Seems fitting that it starts and ends with arson. Yep. It was felt that Robert, as the pet of the Phoenix, ought to have the last melancholy pleasure of choosing the materials for its funeral pyre. "I'll keep watch if you like," said Cyril. "I don't mind. And besides, it's raining hard, and my boots let in wet. You might call and see if my other ones are really reliable again yet." So they left Cyril standing like a Roman sentinel outside the door inside which the Phoenix was getting ready for the great change, and they all went out to buy the precious things for the last sad rites. "Robert's right," Anthea said. "This is no time for being careful about our money. Let's go to the stationer's first and buy a whole packet of lead pencils. They're cheaper if you buy them by the packet." Okay. This is a decision I can kind of see, but coming out of left field, it doesn't necessarily make sense. This was the thing they'd always wanted to do, but it needed the great excitement of a funeral pyre and a parting from a beloved Phoenix to screw them up to the extravagance. The people at the stationer's said that the pencils were real cedar wood, so I hoped they were, for the stationers should always speak the truth. At any rate, they cost 1 and 4p. Also, they spent 7p 3 farthings on a little sandalwood box inlaid with ivory. "Because," said Anthea, "I know sandalwood smells sweet, and when it's burned it smells very sweet indeed." "Anthea, have you been committing rites in your bedroom?" "Ivory doesn't smell at all," said Robert, "but I expect when you burn it, it smells most awful vile, like bones." At the grocer's they bought all the spices they could remember the names of: shell like mace, cloves like blunt nails, peppercorns, the long and round kind, ginger, the dry sort, of course, and the beautiful bloom-covered shells of fragrant cinnamon. Allspice, too, and caraway seeds. Caraway seeds that smelt most deadly when the time came for burning them. Camphor and oil of lavender were bought at the chemist's, and also a little scent sachet named Violets de Parma. Wolfsbane, yep. I'm not sure that comes under herbs and spices, Fish. Now you're wondering where your favourite brand of what your favourite brand of pencil uses for the wood. That's a thought. There's at least one brand that uses MDF here, which at least, I suppose it's using offcuts. What else is it? Okay. Kind of medicinal, I guess, if you're pushing it. They took the things home and found Cyril still on guard. When they knocked, and the golden voice of the Phoenix had said, "Come in," they went in. There lay the carpet, or what was left of it, and on it lay an egg, exactly like the one out of which the Phoenix had been hatched. Serial immortality for the win. The Phoenix was walking round and round the egg, clucking with joy and pride. "I've laid it, you see, and as fine an egg as I've ever laid in all my born days." Everyone said yes, it was indeed a beauty. The things which the children had bought were now taken out of their papers and arranged on the table, and when the Phoenix had been persuaded to leave its egg for a moment and looked at the materials for its last fire, it was quite overcome. "Never, never have I had a finer pyre than this will be. You shall not regret it," it said, wiping away a golden tear. "Write quickly. Go and tell the Psammead to fulfil the last wish of the Phoenix, and return instantly." But Robert wished to be polite, and he wrote, "Please go and ask the Psammead to be so kind as to fulfil the Phoenix's last wish, and come straight back if you please." The paper was pinned to the carpet, which vanished and returned in the flash of an eye. Then another paper was written ordering the carpet to take the egg somewhere where it wouldn't be hatched for another 2,000 years. The Phoenix tore itself away from its cherished egg, which it watched with yearning tenderness, till, the paper being pinned on, the carpet hastily rolled itself around the egg, and both vanished for ever from the nursery of the house in Camden Town. "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear," said everybody. "Bear up," said the bird. "You think I don't suffer being parted from my precious new-laid egg like this? Come, conquer your emotions and build my fire." Apparently Dixon Ticonderoga pencils are actually cedarwood. Oh, right, okay. Now you're making me want to Google what some of the more common UK brands are, which I'm just going to have to do, because, that's where we are on this. Right. UK pencils made of what wood? Okay. In the UK, pencils are typically made of cedar wood. Okay. Derwent Pencils, one of the last remaining UK pencil manufacturers, use Weymouth pine or California cedar, imported from the US. Pencil manufacturers often source woods from sustainably managed forests to ensure responsible forestry practices. That makes sense. Hmm. So yes, allegedly they're still made mostly from cedar wood. And also the fact that Derwent is the sole surviving, pretty much, big pencil manufacturer in the UK explains why every single child in the UK has had at least one pack of Derwent pencils. So fair enough. It's okay, now I've fallen down a small rabbit hole. Okay. Huh. Pencil from Old French pincel, from late Latin pincilius, a little tail. Same root as penis. Okay, that's something I didn't know. Originally referred to an artist's fine brush of camel hair. Hey ho. Let's not fall down that particular rabbit hole. Sorry, drink. Where are we? Oh, cried Robert suddenly, and wholly breaking down. I can't bear you to go. The phoenix perched on his shoulder and rubbed its beak softly against his ear. The sorrows of youth still appear but as dreams, it said. Farewell, Robert of my heart. I've loved you well. The fire had burnt to a red glow. One by one the spices and sweet woods were laid upon it. Some smelt nice, and some, the caraway seeds and the violet de Parma sachet among them, smelt worse than you would think possible. Farewell, 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 said the phoenix in the far-away voice. Oh, goodbye, said everyone, and now all were in tears. The bright bird fluttered 7 times around the room and settled in the hot heart of the fire. The sweet gums and spices and woods flared and flickered around it, but its golden feathers did not burn. It seemed to grow red hot to the very inside heart of it, and then before the 8 eyes of its friends it fell together a heap of white ashes, and the flames of the cedar pencils and the sandalwood box met and joined above it. "Whatever have you done with the carpet?" asked Mother the next day. "We gave it to someone who wanted it very much. The name began with a P," said Jane. The others instantly hushed her. "Well, it wasn't worth twopence," said Mother. "The person who began with P said we shouldn't lose by it," said Jane. When Jane went on, before she could be stopped. "I dare say," said Mother, laughing. But that very night a great box came, addressed to the children by all their names. Eliza never could remember the name of the carrier who brought it. It wasn't Carter Patterson or the parcels delivery. Hermes. Did they lob it over the front gate into your dustbin? Because, you know. It was instantly opened. It was a big wooden box, and it had to be opened with a hammer and the kitchen poker. The long nails came squeaking out, and boards scrunched as they were wrenched off. Just imagine the splinters. Jane, honey, you need to learn when not to talk. Yeah. On the other hand, we gave it to someone whose name started with P. It's kind of reasonable, but Mother is completely au fait with the fact that her kids potentially are talking to complete strangers and giving away their stuff. Inside the box was soft paper with beautiful Chinese patterns on it, blue and green and red and violet. You will not imagine the splinters. Ah, okay, fair. And under the paper, well, almost everything lovely you can think of. Everything of reasonable size, I mean, for of course there were no motors or flying machines or thoroughbred chargers, but there really was almost everything else. The wooden box, wonder if that's going to be set on fire. Everything that the children had always wanted, toys and games and books and chocolate and candied cherries and paint boxes and photographic cameras and all the presents they'd ever wanted to give to father and mother and the lamb, only they'd never had the money for them. At the very bottom of the box was a tiny golden feather. No one saw it but Robert, and he picked it up and hid it in the breast of his jacket, which had so often been the resting place of the golden bird. When he went to bed, the feather was gone, and it was the last he ever saw of the phoenix. Pinned to the lovely fur cloak that Mother had always wanted was a paper, and it said, "In return for the carpet, with gratitude, P." You may guess how Father and Mother talked it over. They decided at last that the person who had had the carpet, and whom, curiously enough, the children were quite unable to describe, must be an insane millionaire who amused himself by playing at being a rag and bone man. But the children knew better. They knew that this was the fulfillment by the powerful Psammead of the last wish of the phoenix, and that this glorious and delightful box full of treasures was really the very, very, very end of the phoenix and the carpet. And it is. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a bit longer than I expected. So, don't know if you noticed, but the crimes of the children are now going to be probably a blog post on my Ko-fi because there's a lot to unpack from this book. There is a lot. It's a lovely story, isn't it? Bizarrely. I hope the reading was okay. It's always sad when the story ends, but still. Aha. So, next week I'll take a brief break from this and I will do Dracula, the children's adaptation thereof. Yeah, it's always fascinating when you realise that some things that are cultural staples really just didn't translate outside, or didn't really translate outside the UK. After I do Dracula, which should be just one session, I think, possibly two, because it's only a little book. And we still long to know how they managed to adapt Dracula for 10-year-olds. Once upon a time, there was a man named Vlad who was a dab hand with a kebab skewer. Fish, I need to have that filter, whichever one you were using last night, to sound like a Pathé radio announcer, if I'm going to read that out. And then after Dracula, I was going to go for the first book in this trilogy, of which this is the second. If you guys are interested, which is Five Children and It. It weirds you out a bit when the UK parents you follow on YouTube go on about how kids love the snowman, and you're like, Foster, you're abominable. You haven't, you didn't get the snowman. How did you not get the snowman? And I mean, if you didn't get the snowman, then how did you manage to not get I suppose, yeah, without the snowman, you then wouldn't necessarily get When the Wind Blows. Just as everyone was convinced it was absolutely beautiful and lovely and suitable for children, and then sat their kids down in front of an animation by the same guy, only to have them talking about it in therapy for the next 30 years. You thought I was going to stop at fish. I need you to have a filter. Huh. Children's Dracula's got to be just once upon a time a vampire picked the wrong people to mess with. He messed with them. They chased him across Europe and cut off his head. The end. Maybe you have it, but you're too old for it. Has a carrot for a nose. I am perfectly willing to share photos of the snowman. I mean, hell, I think it's probably on iPlayer. It's a staple Christmas special, half an hour or an hour. Introduction by David Bowie. Or David Bowie, as I normally say. I'm not quite sure why I said David Bowie. But yes, introduction by David Bowie. Sat in an attic. And if I recall correctly, he nicked the scarf he wore for the part. Because I'm fairly sure I saw his son posting about that. They still had that. Green hat, check scarf. Hang on one mo. I'm going to go and look up. And then there was a sequel, The Snowman and the Snow Dog. Yes. Oh, it was an orange. His face was a carrot. Sorry, one of the other snowmen had the carrot for a face. And the Snowman, of course, animation, kicked off the musical career of one Aled Jones. You thought that was earlier? Snowman was comparatively late in his career. What, Raymond Biggs? The Snowman was 1982. You briefly questioned everything you knew about the pronunciation of David Bowie. Yeah, if you're on the Discord, I will quite happily drop in some pictures to deconfuse. Grab that. Right, there's a picture of the snowman. Absolutely fine and not menacing at all. Oh, well, there's an image that's not going to worry anyone at all. Really, you guys need to see the original poster for it. And then, I mean, yeah, the Snowman won. No, I don't think it won the best animation at the Oscars, but I I know it was nominated. And then relatively late, we got the Snowman and the Snow Dog. Yeah, you've never seen or heard of the Snowman until earlier this year, going through back catalogue on YouTube. Hmm. Let's all confuse you completely then. go. The conceit of having David Bowie open it, by the way, is that he is the adult version of the child in the animation. You have no human children who've not paid attention to seasonal mascots since the mid-80s. Yeah, this, as I said, this was 1982. The first snowman. It's what, me and Fish grew up with, this being unavoidable every Christmas for several years. um, and yeah, it's a weirdie. It's not the happiest. Okay, rephrase. It's a happy film, but it's not the chirpiest. Um, you were surprised it was that early. I'm wondering if you're getting it mixed up with the Snow Dog Fish, which was much later. Maybe it just never reached the places you were living at the time. Oh, no criticism is implied at all. You obviously did a grand job of avoiding it. Well, obviously, Fish, you were too posh. I just want to know if you managed to avoid Aled Jones walking in the air. You've actually still never seen it. Oh, well. Right, well, that's going to get resolved. We will have to sort that out. Because that situation cannot be allowed to continue. Oh, yes, it will, Fish. It really, really will. I will resolve that situation. The thing is, if you haven't seen The Snowman and then you watch When the Wind Blows, then it wouldn't do you anything like as much damage. Cover for When the Wind Blows, going into my Discord as well. Same style of animation, very, very different story. Very different story. More of the sudden, slow death after the bomb goes off than a heartwarming tale about an animated snowman. So, yes. So yeah, we will do Dracula, and then I will go on to Five Children in It. You had Gentleman Jim, the actual book. Oh my god. What, Gentleman Jim or When the Wind Blows? Because trust me, no. When the Wind Blows is literal trauma. Honest to God, it's horrible. There's a reason kids our age, um, you bring that up, and there's a collective shudder. We had to watch it in school. My class. Yeesh. Oh no, I was. Oh, when did it come out? Yeah, in 1986. Yeah, I watched it when I was 13 in school. They made us watch it. You wonder why people our age are really, really anti-nuke in so many ways. You were forced to watch the animated version of Animal Farm. Yeah, they did that to us as well. It was a really good move showing it in schools, Fish. It also was horrible. It was extremely upsetting. Who you being carried out screaming when they took the horse to the glue factory. Oh, I was so angry with that. I was absolutely furious about that. I think it's an old enough book, Molly. You're allowed spoilers. You're all good. But yeah, it's oh gosh, I had Gentleman Jim. Where the heck's my copy gone? I may well have passed it on to my sister, in which case she's probably given it to charity. Yes. I remember Gentleman Jim now, yes, of course. I must look up Raymond Biggs, actually. Because he's one of those people who I literally could not tell you how old he was. Hmm. Okay. Wrote The Snowman in 1978. Born in 1934. Died in 2022. Good grief, it was an age. Okay. Fungus the Bogeyman was the other big name book. Yeah. Doing Animal Farm to age 14 and up wouldn't be so bad. You think that was around the age they'd assign it in school. You get that, then that is a big no. I can't remember. We did Animal Farm twice at Clarendon. We also did. Yeah, we did Animal Farm twice. We did 1984 twice, and we did an Inspector Calls twice between different years and exams. So there's a fun selection of books that totally cheered us all up. Also, we only did Lord of the Flies once, but that's all you need. And one of the other classes in my year did Kes. Now I want to know when the Animal Farm animation was. Do, 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 do. 90, really? 1954? Good lord. Yeah, 1954. Once is more than enough. Yeah, Animal Farm. I have no desire to read or go near again. It really messed me up. And yeah, the glue factory bit was horrible. Mainly because I didn't quite get it at the time because I was quite young, and I had to ask Mum why they were taking the horse to the glue factory. What was the deal? Yeah, there was a 2025, or there is a 2025 animated CG animation with Andy Serkis, which frankly, nope, nuh-uh. No, we do not need 3D animation. Yeah, there's a trailer up for it. Nope. Semi-realistic 3D animals we are not here for. I'm very sorry. It was bad enough when they were very cartoony. I have no desire to see that in a more realistic fashion. Yeah. But yeah, we did, you know, we did. You were 7 or 6 or 7. Gosh. No. Good lord, did they not preview it? Was it seriously just, well, it's animation, therefore it's probably kid safe? Yikes on the bike. I now want to know what age rating it was. Animal Farm 1954 BBFC. Ah, da, 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 da. Did the CIA make a film version of Animal Farm? Okay. Why is this something that... Uh-huh. And the answer is yes, apparently. So PG-13 now in the US. I believe it's 12 in the UK. The name Animal Farm does sound like a book your nephew would have. He's 2, so you'd expect like moo, says the cow. Hmm. What they said when your parents ripped them new ones. Oh no. It was anti-communist. They used it as propaganda. Exactly. Yeah, that was precisely it. It was actually anti-Stalinist, of course. It wasn't, and so it was anti-Soviet communism. It wasn't anti-communism per se, because it placed things like the horse in the role of Trotsky. No pun intended. And then Napoleon it placed as Stalin. So yeah, nobody grasped the symbolism at that age. We all know that communism is everyone to the left of Adolf. Be reasonable. Yeah. Yes. Um. So yes, that's one of the more disturbing things. Right. So, having wandered off and down that huge rabbit hole there, I do apologise for anyone attempting to get any sense out of this and watching it on stream. On VOD, rather. Hey ho. So yes, next week and possibly the week after Dracula, off a real book and everything, then I will go for Five Children and It. Let's see if I can find the opening page to give you an idea of what you're dealing with. Five Children and the Thing. No, wait, hang on. Yep. Da, 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 da. Oh, I don't know if you remember, but The Phoenix and the Carpet did open with a little poem. And so does Five Children in It. Purveyor of money, purveyor of distractions and rabbit holes. Established, yes. To John Bland. My lamb, you are so very small, you have not learned to read at all. Yet never a printed book withstands the urgence of your dimpled hands. So though this book is for yourself, let mother keep it on the shelf, till you can read. Old days that pass, that day will come too soon, alas. So that is the children being hoved off into the country, frankly. Oh, it's illustrated. That's going to be interesting. So, that's the opening page. The house was 3 miles from the station, but before the dusty hired hack had rattled along for 5 minutes, the children began to put their heads out of the carriage windows and say, "Aren't we nearly there yet?" And every time they passed a house, which was not very often, they all said, "Is that it?" But it never was, till they reached the very top of the hill, just past the chalk quarry and before you came to the gravel pit. And then there was the white house with the green garden and an orchard beyond, and Mother said, "Here we are." "How white the house is," said Robert. "And look at the roses," said Anthea. "And the plums," said Jane. "It's rather decent," Cyril admitted. The baby said, "Want to go walkie?" and the hack stopped with the last rattle and jolt. Everyone got its legs kicked or its feet trodden on in the scramble to get out of the carriage that very minute, but no one seemed to mind. Mother, curiously enough, was in no hurry to get out, and even when she had come down slowly and by the step, with no jump at all, she seemed to wish to see the boxes carried in, and even to pay the driver, instead of joining in that first glorious rush round the garden and orchard and the thorny, thistly, briary, brambly wilderness beyond the broken gate and the dry fountain at the side of the house. But the children were wiser for once. It was not really a pretty house at all. It was quite ordinary, and Mother thought it was very inconvenient, and was quite annoyed at there being no shelves to speak of, and hardly a cupboard in the place. Father used to say that the ironwork on the roof and coping was like an architect's nightmare. But the house was deep in the country, with no other house in sight, and the children had been in London for 2 years without so much as once going to the seaside, even for a day, by an excursion train. And so the White House seemed to them a sort of fairy palace sat down in an earthly paradise. For London is like prison for children, especially if their relations are not rich. My children, you are very grim with matches and with paraffin. Where do you go with supplies, and who on earth is going to die? With such supplies, and who on earth is going to die? Yes, that works. Are we there yet is indeed eternal. So yeah, that opening page sets the tone for what the place is like. Um, it's kind of the anti-Narnia. Instead of it being a wonderful old house where the kids get evacuated to, it's clearly been rented, or possibly is in the father's family, and is just, it's an ordinary house in a slightly industrialized area. Chalk pit and gravel quarry. Chalk quarry and gravel pit, even. Translation: two very big holes dug to extract resources. So, there's no way that can go wrong. That whole thing is just, let's face it, the start of a public information film about not drowning. So, I shall leave it there for tonight and stop whiffling at you. The finalised version: my children, you are very grim with matches and with paraffin. Where do you go with such supplies, and who this time is going to die? I hate you, you're really good at poetry, Fish. Children yearn for the mines. Yes. I think somebody once told them that the mines will blow up, and therefore they just decided, you know what, yes. Okay, somebody's setting off loads of fireworks outside. I'm not saying it's not thematically appropriate, but it is weird. And I do mean loads of fireworks. Going a bit loopy. And it's still broad daylight. I am confused. So, next week, Dracula. And when we finish Dracula, 5 Children and It. And you can meet the Samiad, who is the grumpiest wish-granting fairy pixie thing that possibly has ever existed. You hear some of it not obtrusively, but the timing is strange. Yeah. Coming up on Exploding Sky Day in the US, but you will have that in November. Yeah. Yeah, we have, it's not a celebration per se. Well, it's a celebration of Guy Fawkes failing to blow up everybody. And the conspirators. But, no, I can only assume it's someone's birthday or something. Right. I will leave it there. And I hope to see you next week for Dracula, where I will be. Narnia just made you shoot your bow. Oh, you're playing Zelda. Okay, just for a sec, I thought, what? So yes, Dracula's going to be the first thing going up on my YouTube channel that I will be starting for children's safe stuff. Would you believe Dracula's going to be the first thing? I think that pretty much says me. It just covers my life. So, thank you very much indeed. Tomorrow, not sure what time I'm starting. It's probably going to be around 5ish, but it's dependent on servers. I'm going to be having a first look on release day at the deluxe version of FBC Firebreak, which is the up to 3-person shooter. I think it's solo or 3-person shooter, set in the world of the Control video game by Remedy, which of course we now know is the same universe as Alan Wake. So this is very much the lower decks option, judging by the trailer. Instead of having superpowers like the heroes of Alan Wake and Control, no, these are the plebs who have to get you know, the toilets cleaned and things when it all goes horribly wrong. All I've seen from the trailers, though, really is like killer post-it notes. So I am very looking forward to seeing that. And I'm hopefully looking forward to showing you guys. Because it looks cool. And it looks like I'm going to be really bad at it, but I don't care. So I'll hit up the solo game tomorrow. And if the servers are up and running, I will allow randos. I will take the random matchmaking unless anybody pops up and says, hello, you know me, and I own the game. But it only releases as of 11 AM tomorrow. So really looking forward to that. And then Thursday I will be back on the Thaumaturge. So thank you very much for the company. And I'm sorry it was so late, and hopefully my net has held up fine and is now looking at me going, what's the problem? Right, I'll see you guys around, hopefully tomorrow, and I may play something on Discord this evening. So thank you very much, and good night.